But some of the astrologers, your Bible may say Chaldeans, went to the king and informed on the Jews. The Chaldeans were the ruling class. Look at this up on the screen. They were the ruling class. They were the wise men. They were the nobles. Very likely, from reading the story, it appears they're never mentioned in the list of people that were supposed to bow down. It appears that they had already sworn their allegiance to the king. And so they were not under the obligation to bow, and they were either observing or perhaps they were there as the morality police, either appointed by the king or self-appointed. They were the morality police to make sure that everybody else did what everybody else was supposed to do. You ever met morality police before? Aren't they fun? Don't they drive you nuts sometimes? And it's funny because they're often a little bit jealous and concerned about you, because watch what happens. But some of the astrologers went to the king and informed on the Jews. They said to the king, Nebuchadnezzar, "Long live the king." Notice it starts with flattery and goes downhill from there. Let me tell you, if someone comes and starts flattering you, be afraid, be very afraid. If someone comes up to you and says, "Ken, you are just so fantastic with dominoes. You have a gift. You really have a gift." Be afraid, because you know what's happening next, don't you? But what you built really was inappropriate. Always coming. Always coming. And if it's not coming in that conversation, it's going to come at some point, because what they're doing is trying to manipulate a relationship rather than being authentic. Long live the king. And you're going to see this in these guys. They're great. Long live the king. You issued a decree requiring all the people to bow down and worship the gold statue when they hear the sound of the horn and flute, zither, lyre, harp, pipes, and other musical instruments. That decree also states that those who refuse to obey must be thrown in the blazing furnace. But there are some Jews, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, whom you have put in charge of the province of Babylon. They pay no attention to your majesty. Okay, this is hilarious. Okay, so let's back up. Remember chapter 2? Who saved their life? Those Jews. Because they couldn't figure out the dream. They couldn't tell it to the king. Daniel said, "We can." The three friends of Daniel prayed. God gave the vision to Daniel. He told it to the king and the interpretation, and those guys' lives were spared. They're a little bit jealous now because Daniel's been promoted. These guys have been promoted, and apparently they're not too terribly grateful for their neck. So they're not just saying, "Hey, some of your guys, they're demeaning those Jews." Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, whom you have put. Notice how they flattered him. "King, live forever. You're stink at making decisions. You put these morons in a position of authority." You see how they're stabbing him in the back? They pay no attention to you, your majesty. Really? Aren't they the ones who paid attention enough and then prayed, and God gave them the vision and they were completely invested in what happened? Beware of people that flatter you, Ken. Now, some of you at this point may be saying, "Okay, but where was Daniel? Was he like bowing down?" We have no idea where Daniel was. It's not in the Word. Anything is mere speculation. There's speculation that perhaps because of his position being as high up in the kingdom as he was, that he was left in charge of the palace while Nebuchadnezzar went out to have this, wonderful praise fest going out in the park. It could have been that he was gone somewhere else. It could have been that he was exempt because of his title, so he was considered some of the Chaldeans, and it could have been that he was sick. We have no idea where the man was. The Bible just doesn't say. It's all speculation. Those are ideas for you to think about for the rest of the afternoon. Okay. They pay no attention to you, your majesty. They refuse to serve your gods and do not worship the gold statue you have set up. Then Nebuchadnezzar flew into a rage and ordered that Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego be brought before him. When they were brought in, Nebuchadnezzar said to them, "Is it true, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego?" The literal translation of that is, "Really? Is it true? Truly?" I think of, if you watch Saturday Night Live, the segment that they do, the really segment. "Oh, really?" That's kind of the king, is, "Really? You're not going to bow down to me? What's wrong with your head, children?" Now, I want you to imagine, okay? Here they are, in front of this statue. Everyone is falling down. The music is still going. They're having this wonderful praise fest. And suddenly, you got Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, who are still standing, okay? And suddenly, these large men come over to Randy and Roxanne and say, come with me. Come here, boy and girl. Now, you got to know they knew it was coming. There was a good chance it was coming, but I'm guessing if you've ever had a big guy come up to you and go, hey, there's something scary about that. I'm guessing that their initial guttural instinctive reaction was one of fear. Come on, here, grab him and drag him to the king. You see, sometimes I think I see Christians that start to give themselves too hard of a time about their relationship with God and about their trust and faith in God. They hit something that's traumatic, something that's difficult, job loss, relationship challenge, whatever it might be, and their instant reaction is fear. Right? Okay. And then they go, man, I don't have faith because, man, I had fear. No, that's your instant reaction. The question is what you do after that. Okay? What do you do after that point? What do you do when you say, okay, because these guys, from the time the big guys grab them to the time they get before the king, have focused their attention on the faithfulness of God. Because Nebuchadnezzar flies into a rage, orders them to be brought to him. Verse 14, Nebuchadnezzar said to them, is it true, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, that you refuse to serve my gods or to worship the gold image that I sent up? I will give you one more chance to bow down and worship this statue I've made when you hear the sound of the musical instruments. But if you refuse, you'll be thrown immediately into the blazing furnace. And then what God will be able to rescue you from my power? And by the time that that has happened, they are calm, in control, and confident. Because Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego go back and mirror his threat back at him. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego reply, verse 16. Oh, Nebuchadnezzar. Oh, Nebuchadnezzar. You're so cute. You're such a nice boy. You're so silly. We do not need to defend ourselves before you. You know who we are. You know that what these guys have been saying are lies. You know that it was our God who gave you the answer to the dream when you were really kind of freaking out a little bit. We do not need to defend ourselves before you. If we... Please silence yourself. Nebuchadnezzar, we do not need to defend ourselves before you. Stay on this. Don't let distraction take you too far.